At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too. Because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger, hoping you're having a good start to your Thursday, where I guess people call it Friday Junior, Friday Eve, whatever it is, but we are one day away from the weekend. You know, we saw some pretty decent rain out there last night. Of course, not we're seeing any right now, or excuse me, yesterday. We're not seeing out there right now, but look at the amount of rainfall. Now, some of these totals here, you might be saying, well, I saw a lot more, or I saw a lot less. That's how rain works. You can see 2 inches of rain, your neighbor may see an inch. It just depends on where you are. That's how rain works. But I did get a report from someone in Willows who had, at about 8:30 yesterday morning, had reported over 2 inches of rain 24 miles south-southwest of Willows. So again, that just depends on where you are. Then on the outer perimeter from surrounding the valley, you see less and less rainfall for the most part. And you did see nothing, or a whole lot of nothing. Tourist places like Crescent City, Del Norte did not get much rain. Although I did see some reports of around 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of rainfall just north of Crescent City in the Smith River area. So it just, again, depends on where you are. Redway, 2800, sent out in Eureka, 0.04. So where does that put us for the season? Well, Crescent City has been below average for the season all season long so far since October 1st. So with the lack of rain the last few days, still below normal. Eureka below normal, but everywhere else. Redding actually dropped below normal with this recent dry spell we saw for the last several weeks. But with yesterday, the rain from the last few days, it's brought us back up to over 100%. So the rain was certainly a welcome sight. I think in many cases we could have used more, though, on the coast. We are seeing some patchy fog, getting some reports of some patchy fog, especially in the Redding area. The Redding Airport was reporting about a half a mile visibility here about 10-15 minutes ago. So there is going to be some of that, and especially for some of those mountain valleys as well. No chain requirements this morning, but down to the south over the Tahoe region, yes. And most of these are going to be for big rigs, but just take note of that if you are traveling to Tahoe today. Probably be looking at some slick spots. And even though there aren't chain requirements for us here in the North State, there may be some slick spots, especially east of I-5. Let's get you into your Krueger's Quickcast for your Thursday, February 12th. We've got those temperatures still on the cool side, probably in the low 40s in the valley, some of that patchy fog, upper 20s in Modoc counties, and lower 30s for Siskiyou County in parts of the eastern mountains. So the area of low pressure that was impacting us the last few days, that's pretty much dissipated and has moved off to the east. In the meantime, you see some clouds off toward north and west. That'll be in the form of some high and a few mid-level clouds out there. Winds, I'm not expecting to be too much of an issue for today. They'll generally be from the northwest at about 10 to 15 miles per hour in most cases, and really that'll probably continue as we go into tonight. Rainfall chances for today, tomorrow, Saturday, 0. But as we go into Sunday, and in particular next week, the chances start to increase again. So for those of you worried about us going back into another big dry spell and spring-like temperatures, no need to worry, because that's going to be changing. We're going to see that transition over the weekend. And really overall, I think next week is when most of everything begins to start. We've got a series of storms heading our way that we're watching. Temperatures low to mid-60s today in the valley, 50s for most of the higher elevations, and 50s for the coast. Tonight we're dropping down, looks like in the mid to upper 30s for the valley, teens and 20s to the north and east, but places like Trinity County, inland areas, low 30s. Low to mid-30s, that is. Taking a look at your 7-day outlook. So we're going to talk about this in more detail in the deeper dive forecast here in a bit, but Sunday is a bit of that transition day. I think overall, when we look at the overall trend, it's Monday. It's next week that we're going to be really tracking the rain and the snow. Sunday will be that transition day. And I think the best chances for rain on Sunday at this point look to be on the coast and inland and even Trinity County. But elsewhere on Sunday, many of us may be dry east of the North Coast. Something I'm watching and monitoring very closely. Forecast models are kind of having a hard time with the timing of this system coming in on Sunday, Monday, so we'll see. But for now, I've got that chance in there. And I also want you to take note, not only are the temperatures getting much, much colder for next week, but much, much lower with those snow levels. And that's going to impact that mountain travel. Taking a look at Lake Oroville this morning. It doesn't look like we can see much there. We got a couple good mornings from Jackie this morning coming in. She's saying good morning. Here's Main Street Chico. Looks like we've got mainly clear skies out there this morning. We've also got Curtis Brown saying good morning, y'all. How you doing? Well, good morning to you, Curtis. Hopefully you're having a good start to your day. Hope you have your cup of coffee or whatever it is you like to drink in the morning. Take a look at Highway 99 at Neal Road. Looks like smooth going on the traffic there. I-5 in Red Bluff as of 6:25 this morning. Still looks a little dark. Sundial Bridge Drive on Highway 44. We can see just that silhouette of Lassen in the background as the sun begins to rise. A little bit of that patchy fog out in the Sutter Buttes, and that's essentially what we've got here, I think, in the valley. And many of the mountain valleys seeing some of that fog as well. Looks like someone's going out to do some fishing. We got some of those high clouds already beginning to take shape here off towards Del Norte County. Bald Hill West, looking down at Hoopa Valley. We still have some fog there. Look at that. A lot of fog out there in Siskiyou County this morning. This is overlooking and over Mount Shasta. But look at all of that fog really socked in there. I bet you it's going to be that way in Fort Jones. And yep, out towards Scott Valley, we've got that fog. And this is essentially because we've seen rain the last few days, right? So the ground is saturated. We've got moisture at the low levels of the atmosphere. The temperature drops, especially when things clear out overnight, and that drops to what's known as the dew point temperature. When that happens, what we start to see happen is, we start to see that fog begin to develop. So, that's what it looks like in Fort Jones this morning. How about Lassen Peak, or at least Lassen Park? Now, remember, we were kind of noting, if you look really closely, I'm going to put my cursor over it. If you look really closely, see that I put the mouse right there. If you look closely, you can maybe see it. Yeah, maybe. There's a little bit of a dot. So I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, you could see the kind of the top of what looked like maybe a tree. And with the snow that we've seen the last few days over that area, which to kind of give you an idea how insignificant it is still just barely peeking out there. So we've got to get more snow up there. It's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen really until probably, like I mentioned, kind of that early next week. So again, we'll kind of be on the lookout for that. Well, today is Thursday. We've got our NorCal Ag Report sponsored by Lassen County Nursery. By the way, there is a great nonprofit organization that just started, and we're going to learn more about it. And Lassen County Nursery, Kenny Elwood, is heavily involved in this project. So let's take a look at someone who he's got really working on this project really hard for him. And she's got some great information about this new project about the wolves, especially up into extreme Northern California. Check it out. NorCal Ag Report, sponsored by Lassen County Nursery. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Krueger from Weather NorCal. You're watching NorCal Ag, and with me right now I've got Jessica Vigil, and you work with Kenny Elwood from Elwood Ranch, and you helped him develop a nonprofit. What's that all about?
So ranchers in Southern Oregon and Northern California are dealing with a lot of losses due to the presence of gray wolves. So we started a nonprofit just to kind of raise public awareness. The name is Ranches with Wolves. And it's not just limited to ranches. You know, rural communities are really being affected by the presence of these animals.
Yeah, so is this something that Kenny saw happening? Is this something you brought up to him? How did he discover this and kind of decide, okay, let's do something about this to help these people out?
I think a lot of our friends and fellow ranchers are dealing with it, and we see it frequently. And so Kenny, you know, he's a very compassionate person, and he kind of saw it, and I had kind of worked on some news articles about the situation, so that's kind of how we got to it.
That's awesome. And so if this is something that just started, do you have a website? How are you getting the word out to people so that they can learn more about this?
Yeah, so we have a website. It's www.rancheswithwolves.com. We are going to be starting some charity events, maybe some concerts, golf tournaments, that kind of thing, to raise money for this effort. So those will be coming up, and there's a tab on the website you can keep in contact with us.
And the one that's in the works right now, that's going to be probably the first one, will be the event at the Cascade Theater, right?
Yeah, so there's an event at the Cascade Theater we are planning. It's still in the preliminary stages, but it'll be the last weekend in June. And there will be more on that coming up.
Ooh,
it's really exciting.
A little teaser, if you will. Well, I think that's fantastic. And, as you know, Kenny is very generous. It's such a great inspiration to our community. So very glad that you could help him out with that. And
Very nice. I think everybody heard that.
Your help with that, and appreciate your time telling us about this. And you can always go to the website, and there's a donation tab on there, I'd assume, too, right?
Yeah, there is. So you can just give right there, or we have other options as well. So
all kinds of great options here. So be sure to check it out. That has been your NorCal Ag Report, sponsored by Lassen County Nursery. Once again, I want to thank Kenny Elwood and, of course, Lassen County Nursery in general for sponsoring the NorCal Ag Report. It's very interesting learning more about the gray wolves and the impacts that they're having here in Northern California. So be sure to check that out here. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what some of you are saying this morning. Kind of interesting. We have got Mike. Mike saying, "You rock, and thanks for what you do." Well, I certainly appreciate that, Mike. I certainly appreciate all the lovely comments that I got for you. It's kind of funny because, as you know, my car is wrapped. Someone had honked at me when I was kind of pulling into it, and it's like, saying hi. So I still love all of the recognition and the hellos and people waving at me, hello, and all that good stuff. So thank you, Mike, for your kind words. I certainly appreciate that. We've also got Deborah Ann out in Scott Valley. Of course, we have that confirmation. We saw that camera out there over Scott Valley, socked in with that fog, super foggy in Shasta and Scott Valley, and super cold. Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. And it looks like my wife is watching this morning. She's saying, looking forward to the event. Yes, we got the big event for the Gray Wolves to help support that. We are going to have more and more on that here in the weeks to come, so you can really make plans for it, put it in your calendar, because it's going to be a great event. My wife is actually part of helping to organize it, so it's going to be an even better event because of that. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our deeper dive forecast. But before we get into that, I want to mention our sponsor of Coffee with Krueger, who have been our sponsor since day one, and that's Wind River Resort and Casino. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table game. Thanks again to Wind River for their support. Now, here's a look at our weather headlines. Drier and warmer through Saturday, and possibly even for some of us through Sunday. You can get into all that a little bit later. Valley highs, mid to upper 60s. Rain and mountain snow returns Sunday into next week. Lower snow levels, and significantly lower snow levels, is most likely going to impact that mountain travel for many of us, including areas surrounding the valley, Trinity County, Siskiyou, even places like Berry Summit, Buckhorn Summit, very good possibility. That's all, of course, down the line. We're going to talk about that in more detail. Snow, the rain, this cold storm system coming next week, and your deeper dive forecast sponsored by Shasta Hearing Aids.
Hearing loss can creep in little by little until one day you realize something's been missing. It's not about things being louder, it's about the moments that slip by. The joke you didn't quite catch, the quiet I love you, or the conversations with your kids that deserve the full attention. At Shasta Hearing Aids here in Redding, we believe hearing aid care should feel personal. Through compassionate care, a comprehensive hearing aid screening, and technology tailored to your lifestyle, we help you reconnect to what matters most. Schedule your free hearing aid evaluation today.
All right, so the deeper dive forecast, we're going to go ahead and start with the satellite image here. So first thing is, this is the area of low pressure that was impacting over the last few days. It brought us the rain. It brought us some of that high elevation snow, 4,500 to 5,000 feet, not a lot. Most of the rain was in the valley. We didn't see nearly as much surrounding the valley in the mountains or even the coast. But this is moving on out, it's weakening, and we got high pressure building in, and that's going to give us these warmer temperatures, more spring-like over the next few days. Oh, shoot, I did that again. Let's take you back. There we go. So this is the ridge of high pressure that's building in today and tomorrow. It's going to give us those warmer temperatures. Then as that shifts to the east, the key here is this. How far this shifts to the east, how much it gives way to the storm system moving in. Now, the models have been kind of having a little bit of a difficult time with this solution. we've been seeing the timing kind of change a little bit here. Some days it's showing, all right, it's not going to be here till really Sunday night into Monday. Others showing a little bit sooner than that. So here we are. This is Saturday. I think most of the rain will still be off to our west. I think all models agree with that. And I'm pretty much in alignment with that because we've seen that trend for the last several days. It's Sunday that we've got to watch. Because again, this area of high pressure right here, it's got to push more to the east and give way more, because the more this pushes to the east, the more that opens the door for these storm systems to move on in. So the one that's moving in Sunday and a Monday is going to continue to dig to the south and then eventually push to the east. So it'll have a lot of the same characteristics initially on Sunday and a Monday as we saw the last few days, where the storm will be to our south. We see the moisture work its way northward to us. Snow levels starting off a little high, especially Sunday and a Monday, around 4,000 feet or so. And then we start to see more of that direct impact of these colder storms moving in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's a series of storms moving in. So they're all fairly cold. The cold air is going to settle in. So as these storms move in, it really starts to bring us that rainfall in the valley and lower elevation snow with that cool and unsettled weather. Now by Thursday, Friday of next week, I do expect a very weak ridge to maybe build in. And then we're going to watch this system potentially coming back in sometime toward the end of next week into that next weekend. Timing obviously still something we're ironing out. So let's take a look at Futurecast here for the next several days, at least going into the weekend. And what we're seeing here is that, yeah, we're drying things out here for today. It's going to be a nice day. It's going to be a nice day for your Friday as well, although maybe some fog for you along the coast. Saturday, also fairly nice. Now, as I mentioned, temperatures are warming up, especially in the valley for today and tomorrow. They're going to drop for the weekend, but still fairly mild, upper 50s. Rain. All right, so this is what I was talking about. With that ridge of high pressure way off to our east, that is kind of closing the door a little bit here for the storm to move in. So watch what happens as we go into Saturday night and Sunday. You see how it kind of stalls out, and we begin to see the main area of low pressure off to the west kind of shift down to the south, dig farther and farther to the south. This is going to do a couple of things. Number one, it's going to moderate, that is the temperatures, because it's a fairly cold storm system to start off with. But as it dives to the south, we're going to start to see it moderate a bit and warm up a little bit here. And we start to see, of course, the rain just off the coast. So this is Sunday, midday. You see how we're still not seeing much rain. Now, what's going to happen is, as this area of low pressure starts to shift to the south and east, we start to see the flow around that area of low pressure working its way into southern Humboldt County, where that bulk of that rain will be. But even Sunday night at 10 p.m., really not much in the way of rain for anybody else. Now, once again, we're going out pretty far in time here, even Sunday night. So we're going to have to watch this closely, because if that area of high pressure off to our east gives way even more, this may not dig as far to the south and will kind of push more to the east, and everyone sees some of that rain coming in Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. So for now, I'm keeping the chances for rain here, for basically the valley northward into Siskiyou County and then west. This is where we're going to see the best chances for rain, I think, through the day on Sunday. But I'm going to keep it dry Sunday for Modoc, Lassen, and Plumas counties. And I've seen the trend going back and forth where it is dry for Modoc and Lassen counties. So we'll, again, as we go into today, we'll get more forecast model data. And as we go into tomorrow, we'll get more forecast model data and help you make your plans for the weekend. So once again, the system that brought us the rain yesterday and the day before is moving off to the east. This high pressure and warmer air is moving in today and tomorrow. And then once again, and you're going to see this a little bit more clearly. There's that cold air. See what's happening? See, it's diving to the south. So here's Sunday. There's the area of high pressure I was talking about. If we can get this thing to move even more to the east, then this will start to push to the east as well. But as a result of this kind of holding on a little bit here, this is going to dig a little bit more to the south and kind of push eastward. Then eventually, as we go into Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, we're going to see this colder air, this kind of broad trough of low pressure sit in place, kind of keep that colder air in place, and then we'll see reinforcing shots of cooler air and storm systems coming in from the Gulf of Alaska moving on in. So it is going to be a series of storms pushing through, so it's not going to be steady rain, steady snow. It's going to be kind of one after another, so we'll see breaks in between all of those. Then by the end of next week, Thursday, Friday, high pressure, very weak, still cool, begins to settle in, and we'll watch this. As of right now, the exact timing, the placement of this is something we're going to be watching very closely because we're already going out over a week at this point. But the trend is leaning toward a much colder, more unsettled weather pattern through next week. I'm not going to put any totals in here because that would just be irresponsible of me. But I want to show you the overall trend. We're looking at what's known as a national blend model. This takes a look at several forecast models, puts them together, and kind of gives us an overall consensus average between all of them. All right, so what you've got here as we go into Monday, we start to see the snow. Now notice it's still pretty far from the valley, so I'd say at this point it's 3,500, 4,500 feet, somewhere within that range, especially Sunday into Monday. But then watch what happens. It really begins to fill in, doesn't it? Now, this may be overdoing it, but this is the potential for us to see several feet of snow, especially into the Sierra, right? But you can also see some decent snow coming into the Cascades and into the Trinities, right? So we're going to be watching that closely. This is inching closer to the valley, but no, to answer your question, the valley at this point does not look like it's going to see snow, but we could see snow levels as low as 2,000 feet. So what this means is as we go through next week, you're going to need to keep a close eye on the snow forecast, because when we look at snow levels this low, this has the potential for I-5 seeing a lockdown. That is that it tends to see snow and then they've got to close it down because there's too much snow or whatever, right? Chain requirements. Chain requirements most likely west and east of I-5. So Buckhorn Summit, Oregon Mountain, Berry Summit, all seeing that, and maybe even out towards Collier Tunnel, seeing that potential out on Highway 199, right? There's that potential there as well. So this is definitely, it's still in the developing phases, right? These storms aren't even developed yet. This is the forecast. This is what we're looking at. And when it comes to snow, we're just going to have to kind of wait and see. As we get closer to next week, we're going to start to be able to iron out a lot more of those details with the snow. And with rain too, same idea here. Not a lot of rainfall to start off as we go into Sunday, Monday, but then it starts to kind of elevate a little bit more going through at least Thursday of next week. We start getting more within that moderate rainfall. I don't anticipate this to be a ton of rainfall, but it certainly is going to be some significant and much needed rainfall, or should I say welcomed rainfall, because for the most part we are above average with the exception of the coast. Cooler than normal conditions as predicted by the Climate Prediction Center, and that's what we'd expect. You can clearly see that here as we go into today and tomorrow, much warmer, right? But then a little dip on Saturday and a bigger dip by the time we go through next week and into that next weekend. Lake levels, we're talking about how we're doing okay for rain for most of us, but the lake level's still very healthy, over 100% for Shasta, Trinity, and Oroville. And there you can see there is a beach hazard statement taking in effect tonight through Friday night due to the risk for sneaker waves. All right, taking a look at those wave heights, that is, here as we go into Friday. They will start to increase, but they should start to drop again going into your Saturday. North winds at 10 to 15 knots, waves from the north at 2 feet at approximately 2 feet at 6 seconds, and northwest at 5 feet at 11 seconds, and no advisories, at least for today. Here's a neighborhood forecast sponsored in part by Dignity Health. We take a look at Trinity County here for today. Temperature should be in the low to mid 50s, dry through Saturday. Your best chance for showers will start around Sunday, but then especially going into Monday. Look at the snow level, Wednesday of next week, about 2,000 feet, 2,500 feet for Monday and Tuesday. So you're getting that borderline around Weaverville, Hayfork, potentially seeing some of that snow. Again, potentially. Right, we're going to watch that closely. 59 degrees for Blue Lake, 61 degrees for Honeydew, and 60 out in Garberville. Up to the north, 58 for Gasquet, 57 for Orleans and Hoopa, about 56 degrees. Siskiyou County, you got temperatures mid to upper 40s, even some low 50s, 51 degrees for Wairika. Etna, about 50 degrees. Modoc County, 40s for the most part, although Aden about 50, 43 degrees in Cedarville and Alturas, about 48. Eastern Mountains, 40s and 50s there as well, 56 in Shingletown. Paradise, about 58. You'll notice I've got snow levels down about 2,500 feet at that point for you in Susanville. Temperatures low 60s today, at least for the south end of the valley. And when we look at that 7-day forecast for Chico, we got temperatures in the mid-50s by the time we get into Saturday, Sunday, low 50s, even upper 40s as we go through next week. 65 for a high today in Redding, as well as Red Bluff, 65 degrees in Palo Cedro. Red Bluff about 63 actually. 62 degrees for Whiskeytown and 62 degrees in Lakehead. All right, here's your 7-day forecast for Redding. And temperatures upper 50s over the weekend, low 50s by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So many of you may have the day off on Monday. Others may have the entire week off. It depends on who you are, where you work, all that good stuff. I don't have the week off, so I'll be working. But of course, I'll be reporting on all this rain and snow and all that good stuff. So there you go, my friends. Well, what do you say we take a look at what some of you got going on here this morning? And we have got Tina Smith saying good morning from Anderson. Good morning to you. So glad you could join us this morning. Doesn't look like a regular, so I'd love to see the people who aren't regulars checking in here this morning. Good morning from Truckee. Oh, Truckee. Well, very cool. I love your area. It's so nice up there. But I love all the areas of here in Northern California. It's absolutely gorgeous. Well, thank you, Cindy, for watching. Certainly appreciate it. If you're in Truckee, boy, you're going to be dealing with some snow here next week. We've also got Sarah saying good morning. Good morning to you. So glad you could join us here on this. Well, you put a sunshine there, although we are seeing some high clouds technically, but that just is probably a representation of how you feel this morning. So good for you. I love your profile picture there with all the sunflowers in the background. Gorgeous. Very nice. Appreciate it. That's awesome. Well, thank you all for checking in this morning. It is Thursday. We're getting ready to go into a spring-like day today, and that is going to continue as we go into tomorrow as well. So I hope you get out there and take advantage of this beautiful weather before the colder and wetter pattern moves in here for next week. That's going to do it for us for today. I hope you have a great day, and we will see you for your Friday edition of Coffee with Krueger. Tomorrow morning at 6:30, we will see you then. Until then, have a great rest of your day.